Hi guys, hope you're doing well. Hope the winter is treating you well. The worst part is over for now, I believe. Next week is supposed to get better. And yeah, I just hope you're having a great time. But you know, when you see this cup, it's time for juicy konkonsa. You know, my favorite enemy in Germany is DEUTSCHE BAHN. And when I did the things that have to stop in Germany video, some of you said I should do the story time. So get yourself a big cup like me. It's Milo inside. Some people call it my you. I've drank quite a bit. But it's Milo inside. So get yourself something warm, something hot. And let's start with this. So somewhere this November last year, I was traveling to Berlin, and I forgot my suitcase. It wasn't stolen, but the train was so full that normally I sit with my suitcase right next to me and I put my feet on them in case I sleep and somebody tries to take it. So when I got on that other train from Hanover to Berlin, it was so full I had to put it away. And it wasn't an ICE, it was an EC. The first time I've sat in a train like that. It was new. It was a different type of train. Anyways, it was full. There were football fans in the train. And so I had to put the suitcase away so I could sit. And so I sat down, I started working. And then I got to Spandau. And I said, oh, let me get down at Spandau so that I would have it, like, I have a shorter way to get to the house. So I pack all my stuff, my purse, my backpack, and I follow the people and walk out, and I forget that I had a big red suitcase. So I get down, I'm like, why am I so light? My suitcase. I turn around, about to re-enter the train. They shut the door. Now, this EC was not my original train. I took that one because my original connection had delayed. So I just took that one to get to Berlin faster. So then the original train I had to take was the ICE that came in just 5 minutes later. And that ICE was so empty that I could have done what I normally do, keep the suitcase next to me and just get up and wheel myself out with everything that I have. So I see the attendant and I say, oh, I need to get on this train, but I need to go to Ostbahnhof, because the other train was also heading to Ostbahnhof. And he was like, oh, no problem. And I said, you know what? Can you call the other train, like the attendant on that other train, and let them know that my suitcase is there so I can pick it up at Ostbahnhof? He said, okay. He did talk to someone. And the person said I should go to the service point at Ostbahnhof, not Hauptbahnhof, Ostbahnhof. And talking to this guy was very draining because I had to constantly tell him what I was expecting from him. So I was like, können Sie bitte da anrufen auf den Zug, dass ich da. Ja, wozu? Ich so, ja, damit die mein Koffer sichern. And this is my mom's suitcase, my mom of blessed memory. So it wasn't just the things inside it, but it also had an emotional value, you know? And not just that, my Oga had his oculars, like they are the things you put in your telescope to do your stargazing and stuff. And the worth was about, let's say, 2,000 euros, between 1,500 and 2,000 euros. That was in it. And my clothes and the seats for stargazing was also in that suitcase. Like, it wasn't stuff I could just do away with, just like that. So that's why I was just acting so quickly and fast and trying to get everything. So I get to Ostbahnhof and I see different types of DEUTSCHE BAHN service areas, you know. So I go to the one that had a long queue. I'm like, no way. I stayed in this queue for an hour, only to be told, oh, you actually passed by the service point. This is not the service point for DEUTSCHE, but this is for S-Bahn Berlin. I leave that place go to the service point and I asked, has anyone dropped a big red suitcase? They said no. And I said, okay. And then he said, there's another Deutsche Bahn service office or service center, so go there. So I went there and she was like, no, nobody has dropped one. But go back to the service point and let them do like a lost and found, let them open a file for you. I said, okay. So I went back and I said, I was told I'm supposed to open a case here. And then I asked the man, how long is it going to take? He's like, the earliest you're going to get the suitcase back is Tuesday. Mind you, that day was Friday and I was going to leave Berlin on Monday. I was just, okay. I couldn't believe it. And because I was so distraught when he said Tuesday, and I was like, oh no, I was actually close to tears. And there was another guy who was like a trainee. He was sitting there and laughing. The daddy girl wanted to just throw something at his head. Like, ja, was gibt's hier zu lachen? Was ist hier lustig? Also, ich sehe nicht aus wie ein Clown. More like a damsel in distress. So why is he laughing? Then he was like, instead of him to open the case there, he gave me a card to call. Now, this is where it gets juicy. So I take my card, the card they gave me, and I call. And I'm like, hey, my koffer is citizen. It's I think it was 144 or something. And I'm supposed to call and do a Verlustmeldung, blah, blah. And this guy was like, Ihr Name bitte. I said, okay. I said my name. I said Phoebe. And then I realized saying Phoebe and spelling it was going to be difficult. I said Paula, Heinrich, Otto, Emil, Beta, Emil. And it still didn't work. I had to do it again and again. So when it came to my surname, I said Banane on bay. This gentleman apparently wrote Banini. And then I had to spell my address. I realized it still wasn't working. And then he asked me whether I wanted to be notified by email or by text message. And because the spelling thing was not going too well, I said, just text me. And then he said, wir melden uns dann bei Ihnen. And then I'm like, you're going to contact me, okay? But what do I do in the meantime? I don't have any information. Now, how long it's going to take? What do I do? Where do I go? You know, it was just like still within 1 or 2 hours after the whole thing. And this guy was like, wir arbeiten leider nicht so schnell. This is not me who said it to. This is an employee of Deutsche Bahn telling me we don't work that fast. Okay. So I took my L and I hang up. Then, right after I hang up, or as I was speaking to him or something, I gave my partner the number that I called, the service number. And he then, like 2-3 minutes later, he gives me a case number. And I'm like, why do you have a case number? And I don't have a case number. At that point, I was livid because I specifically asked this guy, is that all? Don't I need more information? And he didn't give me anything. So I called back and it's the same person. I'm like, I just asked you 3 minutes ago if I would need anything. And you didn't even give me a case number. What's going on? This guy, in aller Seelenruhe, pours himself a glass of Sprudel. Ask me how I know. You know I love drinking Sprudel. So I know my sounds, okay? I hear him. He takes a sip, breathes out again, heavily as usual. Also Sie können sich beruhigen und wir können es dann auch lösen. Dann kann ich Ihnen auch die Nummer geben. Oh, I don't know how to say that in English. Oh, Mr. Shenaro baby. Oh, I gave it to him. Bulls bars. I don't want to say what I said. Some of them are unprintable, but some of my friends know what I said to that guy. In fact, I was angry. So then he told me the Schadensnummer, and I think mine ended with a 7-1, and the one my partner got was 7-3 or 7-4, something like that. This should tell you that within 3 minutes, other people have lost their things, and that scared me. Like, other people have actually opened a case as well. So what is going on? Now, after that, we went home. My in-laws were in town, and then we're like, you know what, we're sorry, but we have to leave you at home and go to the main train station to see what is going on. We go to the main train station and we are told that Deutsche Bahn Fundbüro has different systems. So the people at Hauptbahnhof cannot see what the people at Ostbahnhof have found. They can see what people in Leipzig have found. Like, everybody has their own system to search. And the people at the S-Bahn also have a different system than the people from Deutsche Bahn. So if you lose something, you have to know specifically where you're going to. So then it was a Friday. We were told there's nothing we can do. We have to wait for the lost and found office. We waited and waited and waited. So then we decided that after 7 days, I believe, they gave us a message. Each of us got it. Like, my partner got his email first. I hadn't gotten anything. And he was calling. But because of what had happened to me and the way that call drained me, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just said, auf gut Glück, I'm just going to wait for this thing. And yeah, I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm just going to wait it out. I'm not going to call them because they're all going to tell us the same thing. We went to Hauptbahnhof and the lady told us, I think she was the only nice person we talked to, or I talked to. She was like, Sie haben schon alles richtig gemacht. She was an American. Sie haben schon alles richtig gemacht. Wir können jetzt nur warten. Und ja, frühestens am Montag oder am Dienstag können Sie etwas rausfinden. And. So I thought, okay. Tuesday, we hadn't heard anything. And then on, like a week later, per email, he emailed, and then they told him that they hadn't found our objects. I said, okay. And I got an SMS a few days later, same thing. That was like 10 days. So when my SMS came, we decided that, okay, we have to report this as a police case so that we can go to the insurance, my insurance that covers other people's property, to get his stuff for him at least, or get it reimbursed or whatever. So he goes to the police first, and you know, if you lose something on the at the big train stations, anything that has to do with Deutsche Bahn, you go to the Bundespolizei, the federal police, and not your regular Polizei, not the Landespolizei. You go to Bundespolizei. So he goes to Bundespolizei, and they look him in the face and tell him, forget about it, it's gone. Heartbroken, like, we're just sitting there. And then that was the Monday. And that was, I believe, that already was December then. Yeah, that was already December. So that Monday, he goes, they tell him no. So I said, okay, let me also go on Tuesday and go and, make a report and blah, blah, blah. So I go to the Bundespolizei in Stuttgart. I ring the bell, and the lady goes, ja, like, ich möchte gerne Anzeige erstatten. Na gut, kommen Sie rein. And then I go in. Somebody's sitting there on the bench, handcuffed. And I think 1 or 2 policemen were standing next to him. So as I was trying to take the whole environment in, I hear voices behind the glass, because they have this glass that you can't look through, but you could hear stuff. And everybody was like the voice were like, ich hab grad keine Kappa, ich hab keine Kappa, ich hab, like, okay. The lady comes out. The person who answered the bell comes out. Sie, tut mir leid, ich kann gerade Ihre Anzeige nicht aufnehmen. Können Sie später kommen? And then that day I was going for grief therapy meeting. So I said, okay, then I'll be here after 7. She said, ja, aber Hauptsache nicht zwischen 18 und 18:30 Uhr, da ist nämlich Schichtwechsel. So I leave for grief therapy. And after grief therapy, I wasn't in the mood to sit down and talk anything. So I just went home. Wednesday morning, on my way out, I said, okay, I'm going to leave the house earlier and stop at the police office and then continue to do what I have to do in town. I said, okay. So I get on the U-Bahn and we go into this tunnel. I lose connection. Connection comes back. I have an SMS. The same number that said they haven't found my object, and they said they have found it. And guys, that is how I had tears on my face. Like, I was just thankful. I was overwhelmed. And yeah. But even for us to get it, it was a Wednesday and the office was not open to the public. So even if you call, they won't answer. That was Lichtenberg. They wouldn't answer. So Thursday, I think I couldn't call. My partner called. He made an appointment. He had to go on Friday. And even their opening times will stress you. They collected €5, gave us our suitcase back. Everything was intact because it wasn't stolen. But because the police officer had told us that forget about it, it's gone, and they also weren't hearing anything about it and all that, we kind of lost hope because Berlin is Berlin, you know. It's different types of people walking around Berlin, and you just don't know what is going to happen. And one thing that made me lose hope was the Schaffner, as in the attendants, saying that I could go to the place to go pick it up, and I went and it was not there. So I felt like maybe he hadn't found it. Somebody had already taken it. And it kind of made me lose hope. But yes, that was my nightmare with Deutsche Bahn. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Whatever you do, keep your belongings and your valued items close to you. Don't keep them out of your sight or take your eyes off of them, because nobody's going to help you if push comes to shove. That's just it. That was good. So that's the story, guys. Story time. That's the story.